Welcome back to my channel. Today I wanted to talk about the last couple weeks of my pregnancy. Last time I updated you guys, I was 17 weeks pregnant, I believe. And now today I am turning 23 weeks pregnant. So I wanted to kind of summarize weeks like 18 through 22. Typically, these weeks in pregnancy are pretty chill. You kind of get past the morning sickness phase. And that definitely happened for me. I definitely have moments where I feel like just really full and bloated, but for the most part, the morning sickness, feeling sick just randomly throughout the day is pretty much all gone. I have been having a lot of ligament pain. I feel like I've had more this pregnancy than past pregnancies, and I think that's common. Each pregnancy gets a little bit more and more. Just kind of little bits of pain here and there when I move around. A lot of times it feels like someone's like poking me in the stomach, but nobody is poking me. And it's really weird because it almost feels like a ghost. Like I swear somebody just like ran up to me and poked me in the side and nobody's there. So that's kind of a weird feeling, but I've been getting that a lot. I feel like a lot more than I ever have. My aversions to food, I think, are finally like slowly starting to go away. I'm able to pretty much eat everything that I was able to eat before, but at the beginning of my pregnancy, it was just really rough, mostly meat. A lot of like savory, super flavorful things did not sound good to me, and now I'm slowly starting to eat more. At the same time though, my stomach, I feel like, is like really running out of room already, which is crazy to say, but I already feel like I can't eat as much. I get really frustrated because I make a really nice dinner for my family, and then I have just a couple bites and I just feel really full and gross. So then I'll have like another snack later at night, but it's just frustrating because I know I need to get in those calories. I definitely need to be eating more calories than I would typically, but it's very hard for me to get in all of that. So just smaller meals, snacks as often as I can fit them in. I'm always driving my kids somewhere, and so I'm just trying to bring snacks in the car just to try to fit in, whether that's a Lara bar or a beef stick or something like that. I talked a little bit about nutrition last time. I'm really trying to eat enough calories, get in some extra salt, some extra protein, some extra potassium. Those are some of my focuses. I'm not really stressing about all the other stuff. I am taking a prenatal and I am taking a baby aspirin because I have a history of preeclampsia. But I'm just focusing on a couple things that I really know I typically probably don't get enough of, and that's definitely protein and potassium. And honestly, calories are a struggle for me. Typically, I wouldn't worry about that, and I just kind of, fluctuate, and sometimes I gain weight, sometimes I lose weight. But now, actually looking at the numbers and knowing that I need to eat probably, I would think around like 2,500 calories at this point in my pregnancy. I don't think I get there a lot of times, and so that kind of worries me a little bit, but I'm just trying to fit in whatever I can, wherever I can. I don't want to stress myself out, but at the same time, I know that nutrition and how much you're eating and how much you're drinking is really important. So I'm just trying to stay on top of that the best I can. I haven't really had many issues sleeping. I still try to sleep on my side with a couple pillows in between my legs and my arms, and I haven't really had any issues there. I am pretty comfortable. I haven't really had any issues falling asleep, although I do get restless leg syndrome sometimes, and I've been putting magnesium lotion on my legs. One, I just feel like I need extra magnesium, but two, I think it really does help when my legs are feeling a little bit restless at night. So I've been putting that on, and that seems to really help. I didn't want to talk too much about weight gain because I think it is so individual. Like, your pregnancy is going to be completely different. I think it really depends on the person, and some people's bodies gain a lot more weight than others, and that's completely natural and healthy, and that's fine. I wanted to gain more weight because to me that means my body is getting everything that it needs. My blood volume is expanding at an appropriate rate, which is a really big issue. If you have preeclampsia, I worry about that. And I really, in my pregnancies, I just don't gain a lot of weight, which is concerning because all of my pregnancies, I have issues. I have preeclampsia or HELLP syndrome or postpartum preeclampsia. I feel like that's because of a lack of nutrition and a lack of calories, probably combined with some genetic factors and just, things that are gonna happen. But I would love to gain more weight because I really don't gain that much weight the first like 30 weeks of my pregnancies. So for all of you who are gaining a bunch of weight in your pregnancy and you might be a little bit concerned, even if you're starting at a high BMI, I still think that's a good thing. That's a healthy sign that you are getting enough calories, your body is getting what it needs for the baby because it's gonna nourish the baby first and then you. So to me, that's a good sign. I just in the past about month have started to gain a little bit of weight, so that's good, but I would always love to gain more weight. My sister is like a few weeks ahead of me in her pregnancy, and she gains a lot more weight than me, and that's just kind of her natural body, I think, gains more weight in pregnancy than me. I feel like we eat kind of similarly, so that's just how it goes for some people. I wanted to touch on my thyroid issues and my thyroid medication if you are following me, because you're going through a similar thing with thyroid issues, Hashimotos while you're pregnant. I am taking thyroid medication. I never took it previous to my pregnancy, but I'm taking it during the pregnancy. We started at a very low dose. I think it was around 50. We went up to 75, 100, and then now I'm at 137. Every month we've been increasing, but the last month we actually just stayed at 137 because my TSH number when I did my blood work was really low. There was no need to increase me, but I could see next month needing a little bit more of an increase. As you go through your pregnancy, you would typically need more of the thyroid medication just because of what pregnancy does to your body. So I'm anticipating just little increases every month. Every month I do new blood work and I go in to see my endocrinologist, and she looks at the TSH level and then tells me, all right, we're either staying, we're increasing, whatever we're gonna do. I just take a little pill every morning. I don't eat for like 30 minutes to an hour after I take it. So that's really hard when you're pregnant, but I try to take it like right when I wake up at like 6:30, and then by 7:30 I can make my breakfast and all of that. But if you're curious about the thyroid medication, I have not had any real side effects. As long as you're keeping track of your blood work and you're not taking way too much or way too little, you really shouldn't feel any side effects from the medication or really any big effects from your thyroid not functioning correctly. If it's kind of keeping it in line, then you really shouldn't see that big of a difference. Same with the baby aspirin that I take. I take that a lot of times at night, like with barely anything in my stomach. I don't feel bad. It doesn't really do anything to me other than potentially lower the risk of getting preeclampsia. So I'm someone who's very sensitive. I feel like my stomach is sensitive. My bladder is very sensitive. If I take medication, a lot of times it will irritate me. But with those medications, this pregnancy and my prenatals, I've been doing pretty good, so that makes me really happy. Blood pressure is a huge concern of mine. Every time I go into my endocrinologist or my OBGYN, they're always taking my blood pressure. And I get a little bit nervous because every time I go in, I think this could be the time that it's increasing. Even if it's increasing just a little bit, I'll notice because I know where my body typically is, just naturally going to the doctor with a little bit of stress. I'm somewhere around like 120/75, somewhere around there. So as soon as it starts to jump into like the 130s, that triggers my brain and I just know I need to be really on top of this. They always have blood pressure machines at the grocery store, so you could always for free just check your blood pressure every time you go to the grocery store if you're wanting to really stay on top of it. But so far, every time I've gone in, I'm 23 weeks right now, every time I've gone in, it's been great, wonderful, at that 120/70 or lower number, so that's awesome. But this part of the pregnancy, I think that's pretty typical. When you're like getting to the end of the first trimester into the beginning of the second trimester, sometimes you'll see lower numbers than you typically do when you're pregnant, and then it will start to increase back to normal and then hopefully stay there, but for some people it will go pretty high towards the end of pregnancy. So I think that's kind of typically where I'm at, and I don't start to see any real increases in blood pressure for me until we get to like that 32 week range. In terms of swelling, that's another big one that I'm always keeping track of, and this pregnancy has been a little bit different because I've noticed a little bit of swelling in my left leg and no swelling at all in my right leg. It is alarming when you have swelling in one leg versus the other, but it's very, very minimal. Like if I wasn't paying attention and like pressing into my skin all the time, I probably wouldn't even notice that that leg is a little bit swollen. But my doctor said it's probably because of how the baby's laying. She might be pressing on like blood vessels, I think, on that side, like leading to that leg. So that could make that leg swell a little bit more than the other one. So that was really good to hear, because my first instinct when I see one leg a little more swollen than the other is, do I have a blood clot? But that's really not a concern, I guess, unless it's really bad swelling in one leg versus the other. If it's just a little bit, it's probably the way the baby is laying, which is good news. But I'm still like really paying attention to that. I went to Disney World for full days walking around. I've done a bunch of things with my family for, Halloween and fall season. We've done all kinds of walking and activities all day in the heat. and I really haven't had much swelling, so that is awesome. With my son, I was like 22 weeks and I went to a baseball game all day in the sun, just sat in the sun, and my legs, both of them, swelled up so bad. And then they just like stayed that swollen pretty much the whole rest of the pregnancy. So I was super worried about going to Disney this far into the pregnancy, but I really didn't have many issues and I was so happy with that. Didn't have any cramping, didn't have any like pain when I was walking around. So that was really good. So that's basically everything I wanted to update you guys on. I'm hoping to jump back on in about a month, give you guys another update. And then after that, we're probably gonna be every week, every other week, because there'll be a lot going on after that. I did want to give you a little bump update since I do feel like I really have a bump now. At 17 weeks, it was kind of like not too crazy, but now it's definitely a good size bump where people notice when I'm out places that I am definitely pregnant. So I'll give you guys a little bump shot and then I will see you in the next one. Thanks for watching. Bye.
Make it work, make it easy, make it clever, craft it into pieces, make it sweet.